Imagine devoting your life to a dream, trying over and over to make it come true. Oklahoma horse owner Rick Dawson knew it was a long shot when he entered his horse in the Kentucky Derby. But Rich Strike stunned the nation when he answered one man's prayers when he came from behind to win it all. In a story you'll see only on 2, our Sharon Phillips brings us to his training farm in Kentucky to find out what's behind this amazing horse with Oklahoma ties.
The race.
They're off in the Kentucky Derby.
Lasted only 2 minutes, but it was long enough for a 3-year-old thoroughbred named Rich Strike to ignite a love for horse racing in the hearts of millions. We traveled to Kentucky to get an up-close look at the driving force behind this champion. I met up with horse trainer Eric Reed, who tells me they barely made it into the Derby, only earning a spot in the starting gate after another horse scratched. Now, for the first time, Reed had one of his horses in what some call the most famous horse race on earth.
And I noticed it was 8:59, 1 minute. And it was Barbara Borden, the state steward. Kind of chokes you up. But I'll never forget the words. She said, "Eric Reed, on Saturday, in the 12th race, do you want to draw into the Kentucky Derby?" I couldn't get the air to say yes.
Reed says their original plan was to immediately get to the inside.
Going down the backside, I noticed he was already picking horses up. And they get into the turn, and there's this big group of about 14 horses, and he runs right up in the middle of them.
Rich Strike is coming up on the inside. Oh my goodness! The longest shot has won the Kentucky Derby in a stunning, unbelievable upset.
On Saturday, May 7th, Rich Strike became a champion, finishing the race in 2 minutes and 2.61 seconds. The victory had been a long time coming for Reed. In 2016, a devastating fire engulfed one of his barns, killing multiple horses.
One of these crazy December storms that comes through Kentucky.
Reed says he still struggles to get those painful images out of his head.
This crazy roar and then the scream of the horses is something that nobody should have to hear.
They saved 13 horses that night, but tragically lost 23. Reed says out of that unimaginable tragedy in 2016 came unbelievable glory in 2022.
You're down like, can't get much worse, and then a few years later where it can't get any higher.
Following his Kentucky Derby win, Rich Strike skipped the Preakness to give him time to prepare for the Belmont.
But for us, it was, if you run in the Derby and you want to run in the Belmont, it's really hard to run in all 3. And we just felt our guy it was just better to keep him more or less on his regular cycles.
He came in 6th in that race, but Edmond, Oklahoma owner Rick Dawson says his horse just seemed off that day.
When we got him back to the barn, he had a lot of dirt and sand in his eyes, and so we feel like that maybe that's when it happened.
Despite his performance in the Belmont, Dawson says Rich Strike's story isn't over. He has gotten calls from all over the world, fielding potential offers, to even stud requests from foreign billionaire horse owners.
Every morning around 8:30 a.m., Richie, as he is known, is led out of his stall here. He's taken for one lap around the barn and then out to the training track.
Out of tragedy came triumph, and both men credit God for making it happen.
Without him, none of this would happen. I mean, he gave Richie the luck to get in the race. He gave us the fortitude to stay in the business when we wanted to quit earlier. And he parted the waters many times in that race to make sure that this happened.
Has won the Kentucky Derby. Rich Strike.
What an incredible story. Now, I understand, Sharon, that this owner from Oklahoma got this horse for next to nothing.
He did. Rick Dawson purchased Rich Strike for only $30,000 at a claiming race, and now he's a multi-million-dollar horse.
That's incredible. So what's next for this horse?
Well, Rick tells me he plans on having him run in the Travers Stakes and then also the Breeders' Cup after that. So, of course, all of Oklahoma is pulling for him.
Absolutely. We love the Oklahoma tie.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Sharon.